To the Salt Lake City Planning Commission. Today's date is October 11th, 2023. The Planning Commission consists of residents from each Salt Lake City district that are appointed in a manner providing balanced geographic, professional, neighborhood, and community interest representation. The Planning Commission reviews and acts on any changes to the city's general plans, small area plans, special studies, zoning ordinances, and zoning district maps. The Commission also reviews and acts on planned unit developments, conditional uses, and certain subdivisions. Our goal is to provide a welcoming and safe environment for everyone. We ask that those in attendance adhere to a few ground rules. 1, silence or turn off your cell phones. 2, respect the person speaking and do not interrupt or do things that could intimidate or deter others from exercising their right to be heard. Clapping, cheering, jeering, shouting, or other actions used to discourage people who have different opinions from participating will not be tolerated. People who attempt to diminish someone else's input may be removed from the room. 3, if you wish to speak, come to the microphone once the public hearing has been opened and state your name. Members of the public will have 2 minutes to comment. Your time cannot be combined with someone else's time. Everyone will get the same amount of time to speak so we can ensure everyone is treated equally. If you are a representative of an officially registered, recognized organization, and the item you wish to speak on is within the boundaries of your organization, you will be given 5 minutes. If it is outside of your boundaries, you will be given 2 minutes. Number 4, if you have a handout that you want the commission to see, you need to leave copies because they become part of the legal record. 5, when commenting, speak clearly, keep your comments on topic and brief. 6, questions asked during a public hearing will not be answered during the public hearing. Rather, the commission may ask the applicant or staff to ask questions after the public hearing is closed, or ask city staff to follow up with you at a later time. Our meeting minutes from our prior meeting are not yet ready, so we will skip that and go directly to the report of the chair and vice chair. The chair has nothing to report, and the vice chair is not with us this evening. We'll go on to the report of the director.
Thank you. One thing that we wanted to bring up is, so after tonight, we'll have 3 remaining planning commission meetings for the rest of the year. And on those 3 agendas, we currently have about, I think it's right around 26 applications, including one that is likely to have a very substantial public hearing. And so we are considering if we have a quorum of scheduling an additional planning commission meeting. That would be on November 29th. So this year Thanksgiving is fairly early in November, and so this would be the week after Thanksgiving, that Wednesday. So we're going to try to send something out to poll each of you to see if you're available, and that we have a quorum for that, and we'll try to more evenly spread out those November and December meetings. Not only do we have a lot of pending applications right now on those meetings, but one thing that happens because the December meeting is so early in the month, it's like December 8th this year, I think, that the January meetings also end up getting backlogged. And so if we can, and it's at all possible, thanks, David, to try to, let's try to see if we can get a quorum for that and manage our longer term workloads for the next few months. A couple of things coming up. The city council yesterday, and since your last meeting, has had a couple of briefings on the affordable housing incentives. Those are scheduled for a public hearing on the 17th of this month, so next week. The council has indicated that they do plan on adopting some, either as proposed or some version of that, likely sometime this year. So we'll see what happens with that and keep you posted on it. There's a few things that they want some follow-up from the city administration on that we'll provide to them after the public hearing. And other than that, I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing. The next planning commission meeting is actually going to be a virtual meeting because we will not have a room to meet in. So both this room and the main council chambers across the hall will both be closed and going through various repair work. And so that October 25th meeting will be virtual. So if you have questions about that, reach out early. If you feel like you need help setting it up, I think we're all seasoned pros at doing that now, but hopefully it goes smooth. Thanks.
Thanks. We will move to the open forum. If we have any planning commissioners who have anything that they would like to discuss, now's the time. Well, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 1, which will be policies and procedures changes. And Aubrey Clark will be presenting.
Good evening, commissioners. Okay, so hopefully with the help of the attorney's office, feedback from staff, and feedback from you, the commission, we will have created a more streamlined process for you for the consent agenda. As you've probably already noticed, we've removed the motion to proceed with the consent agenda. It was really causing a lot of confusion and an unnecessary step. Because we do have the authority to create the agenda, we don't need you to approve it. So we're removing that step. We're also removing any commission discussion in both sections where it was called for. We've removed that. Any item that needs discussion should be motioned to be moved to the regular agenda. That being said, the motions will have changed a little bit. We will request that the commissioners motion to move an item to the regular agenda, and just whatever item you feel needs more discussion, feel free to make that motion. And then once that motion has been completed, the chair will then call for a motion for the approval of the remaining items. And to help prevent any further confusion, any items that need a public hearing will have public hearing notated on the agenda so that you all won't get confused about which items need that. Is there any feedback from any of you regarding the changes?
So if an item needs public hearing, it can still be on the consent agenda.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mike, I was wondering about I can't find it right this second, but the proposed motion to say, shall we move item A from the consent agenda and approve items B and C?
We will not be using that format any longer.
Or, okay.
No. So we can go through a little mock motion if you'd like.
Yeah.
Let me pull up a previous consent agenda. So this was the consent agenda that was considered at the September 27th meeting. Several of you had concerns about the Pacific Yard item. So in this new procedure, what you will do is you will say, I motion to move case number, and then whatever that case number is. In this case, it was PLN PCM 2021-00822 to the regular agenda for further discussion. You'll get a second, everybody will vote on it, and it'll be moved. So it'll immediately go from consent agenda to regular agenda. You can do this before or after the public hearing. That's up to your discretion, although it might make it easier if it was before. And then once that item has been moved, then the chair would then call for a subsequent motion to approve the remaining items.
Would you expect that we might, if there are two items that to be moved to the regular agenda, could you move two of them with one motion? Or
Yes, you can.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions?
And still the agenda, if it's on the consent agenda, I'm sorry, the minutes from the previous meeting, if that's on the consent agenda, can you still vote for everything else, but maybe
So you'll still be able to abstain from the minutes. When you
separately?
motion,
Okay.
you can say, I approve consent agenda, but abstain from the minutes. And please, remember to mention why you're abstaining. I wasn't at the meeting, or, whatever that is. Anybody else?
I am assuming that we're going to do a motion and take a vote on approving these changes.
Yes, let's do that.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the changes to the to adopt the new policies and procedures as outlined in the memo in our staff report.
I second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Scheer and a second from Commissioner Santos Rivera. Any discussion to the motion? We'll go ahead and vote then. Commissioner Gale,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuttle,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrows,
Yes.
Commissioner Scheer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bitten,
Yes.
Commissioner Santos Rivera,
Yes.
and the chair also votes yes. That passes unanimously. And hopefully we have a much more simplified process.
Yes, thank you.
We'll go ahead and move along to the regular agenda. Our first item is Overland on 3rd, design review and plan development at approximately 320 South and 330 South, 300 East. Case numbers PLN PCM 2023-00113 and case number PLN PCM 2023-00144. And our planner is Eric Dems.
Thank you, Commissioners. So looking at this, you've got a two-part request in front of you, a design review to allow a 125-foot building where 75 foot would be allowed by right, and a plan development for a 10-foot rear yard setback where 30 would be required, 4% ground level landscape open space where 20% would be required, and a 3-foot side yard setback on the north side of the property where 0 or at least 4 would be required. And I did want to explain that last one a little bit just because it's a little different than in most zones. The RMU zone has a requirement, no side yard setback, but if you do provide one, it's supposed to be landscaped and over at least 4 feet. So that's what that's referring to. In this case, they would just be doing a 3-foot. Staff is recommending approval. If this were to be denied, then it would still be able to be built at 75 feet, and it would have to meet the underlying setbacks, but it would not need to meet the more stringent standards for design review or plan development. So taking a look at this property, it's just around the corner from us here on 300 East and just south of 3rd South. There are 2 existing buildings there that would come down, and you've got the zoning map off to the right here that shows it in the RMU zone, residential mixed use, adjacent to a TSA urban core zone, and with D1 zoning also on the same block to the west. Also, it'd be worth noting here that the adjacent zones, the TSA zone there has a 90-foot maximum build height, and the D1 zone does not have a maximum building height. This gives you a little bit of context. The top 2 images are of the buildings that are on the site currently that would be demolished. They're both currently vacant. And then on either side of the property, one is the Altadena apartments, which are to the north, and then a vacant building to the south, 3-story building to the south. This is
I'm Herbert K. Masters, attorney at law. Don't worry, I'm here to help. Do you suffer from coughing fits, chest congestion, runny nose, headache, or death? Then you might be the victim of poor air quality and the inversion layer that plagues Salt Lake City. But you have rights. You're entitled to clean air, and I'm here to help you fight for it. For more information, simply visit the website at the bottom of your screen. And remember, keep it idle-free. That's IDLEFREE.
Heads up, Utah. Here's how bicyclists and drivers can work together to keep everyone safe on and around our roadways. Bicyclists, make sure to wear reflective gear that drivers can easily see. Use lights to make yourself more visible. Wear a helmet to protect yourself. Make sure it sits level on your head and the straps fit snugly. Ride alert. Don't wear headphones and be sure to make eye contact with motorists when turning. Ride predictably in a straight line to avoid potential collisions. Obey the laws. A bicycle is considered a vehicle and needs to follow the same laws as a motorist when on the road. Ride in the same direction as traffic. It is legal for people on a bicycle to ride 2 abreast on the roadway, but if